Welcome to yet another build for natural language conversion. So today we are going to continue where we left off yesterday. So the other day we looked at different options. We chose some options because they look better. So one of the reasons I chose Google Cloud Platform is it allows us to train with very less data. So Microsoft Azure is another option that allows us to do custom models. But the problem with that is it wants us to have a data set of at least 10,000 sentence pairs for translation. So since I am looking for a custom model and I'm trying a new use case, which is totally new, probably that it's not there right now in any of the cloud services. So I'm gonna try that out. So I don't have a huge data set. I have a data set of around 8,000 records. So I'm gonna try that out because I have a limited data set. I'm gonna go with Google Cloud Platform. Maybe if we can get some more data. Maybe I'll do another session with the Azure platform. But right now we're gonna go with Google Cloud Platform. We don't want to do Watson because to do custom models you need a paid plan, and Amazon is I'm not really sure if Amazon allows us to do it because I couldn't find anything that allows us to do custom models for build natural language translation. So we are continuing with our build. So the biggest challenge that I have with this build is getting the dataset ready. So since I am not trying to build something that is already built in, the biggest challenge would be to get a dataset that is not already being trained by any of these cloud APIs. So one of the biggest challenges in my work is basically writing something called an SQL queries. So SQL queries are a way to access relational databases. So if you want to understand what is a relational database, so databases are traditional or conventional databases that is built for uh, any web applications in the past. So now people are moving to new technologies, but these were the main conventional databases that is used in any data applications where they wanted to save huge amount of data, any transaction data. They used to save it in this format. So there are a lot of applications like this. We have Teradata, which is one of prominent providers for these database services. Then we have Oracle services. We have MySQL, which is Microsoft's, and then we have IBM, so DB2 services. So these are really big database, relational database applications that are in the market right now. So there is a standard to which you need to access it. That is what we call a structured query language. So this is not really a language as such, but I'm going to attempt. What we are going to do is we are going to attempt to convert our traditional English natural language into this SQL query language. So something like if you want to access some information from the database, asking like who is the highest which is the best selling product, right? So say for example a sales database which contains information of the sales of a big retail store. So it could have an n number of transactions that's happening every day. Say it could be saved in the transaction tables, and those information will be saved in the relation databases. So this information can be accessed through structured query languages, that is SQL language. But to be able to get this through a natural language would be a cool thing to do. So so say like I said, if you could ask for which is the best selling product, and if it could convert that language into a query language, which is equivalent to saying some syntax format, right? So it could be select star from um, product table, select max count of the product from transaction table on a particular day or on a particular month. So that's like the max count, the number of count, or it could be the count, right? Count of transactions, and sort by descending and pick the first one. So there could be a number of permutation and combination that could be happening, and getting the data set is biggest challenge here. So what I am going to attempt to do is get a data set to get this on so to and clean up. So the first step is that we are going to do is clean the data set and get it ready for the training mode. So let me get started. So the AutoML translation model is what makes this cloud service preferable for us. So as it explains, it basically helps developers to upload translated language pairs, and auto translation will train a custom model that you can scale and adapt to meet your domain specific needs. And they already have pre-trained models as well. That's what they call as translation API. So this translation API basically instantly translates. So it's like a ready-made model that's already trained in a number of languages here. So they have more than 100 languages. So you just have to pick the language that you need and reuse it. So this is what is called the translation API. And a media translation API is something that's one level higher. So it takes your real-time audio as input and converts that into another language, so that way you don't have to actually provide your transcript. So that those are the three things that we have here. So let's go ahead and get started with the AutoML translation. So that's what we are here for. We are here to build our own custom model. So let's go ahead and click get started for free. Cool. So two things here, like it lets you use the cloud platform for a free period, and second thing, you get, it has something called no auto charge after free trial. And so that means, even if you put your credit card details, it won't charge you automatically unless you manually upgrade to a paid account. So it will ask for your card details, but it shouldn't be a problem because it's kind of okay. So go ahead and fill in your details here. Okay. So I have done with my registration. I put in my card details. So it says you are done. You may see a small charge to your credit card. This is temporary and will be refunded. So this is something similar to what I have done in AWS also. So the charge ₹2 or so, and then it will be refunded within a day or so. So that should be perfectly fine. Let's move on. So go ahead and submit it. Submit your OTP, and so we are all set. So to start with, Google Cloud Platform gives you a $300 credit, so which you can spend over the next 12 months. If you run out of credit, you won't be billed unless you turn on automatic billing. So that's good to know. So let's move on. Okay, so we are in the dashboard now. So I'm just gonna search AutoML because that's what we are looking for. Let's see. Okay, so it says there is a translation in the products and pages tool. Let me click there. Okay, so here we are in AutoML, which is the translation models. Train a custom model using your own dataset, sentence pairs, no machine learning experience required. Cool. Let's go ahead and click enable. So we don't want Google's proven pre-trained model. So we want something that we can train on our own. So we'll go and click on AutoML translation. Okay, so now it's offering us a way to create data set. So basically it should have your source, target, total pairs, last updated status. So you're supposed to upload a data set. So after much searching, so I found a data set that I can use. Um, so, so from what we see here, we have our queries on our left hand side and our questions on the right hand side. So the natural language question would be, what is the biggest city in Wyoming? And the corresponding SQL language says select city name from city where population equal to select max population from city. So we have a big data set like this, around 8,666 records. So that's reasonably big. So the reason I did not opt for Microsoft Azure is it requires us to have at least 10,000 uh, records in our dataset. But getting this dataset this size itself is a big challenge. So I wasn't sure at that point in time if I would be able to get a dataset with the size of 10,000 records in it. So I opted for Google Cloud platform, which allows us to do trainings with the dataset with minimum of 1,000 rows. A few other things I did some pre-processing. I put spaces wherever possible, so that each of these elements can be distinguished from each other. So this semicolon, which is usually written at the end of the file, so that those things are usually they're kept together in this data set along with the previous word, whichever comes last in the query. So I made sure that they have a spacing apart, so that the learning algorithm, when it's doing some processing, obviously it's going to split it based on the words with spaces in between. So it considers the semicolon as a separate term rather than considering it as part of the last element of the query. So those are some things I did. So some things were already taken care. So say for example this open bracket, close bracket. So the data set itself had spaces in there. So I'm good there. So even here now, um, by SQL standards, it's not necessary that you have the open braces um, kept a space apart from the population column, so it can be close together, but they made sure that this it's kept apart. So those are good things for us, so it makes our work easier. So we got our data set. Let's go ahead and upload it into our cloud service. So I'm back in the Google Cloud platform. So let's go ahead and create a data set. Um, who expects us to pick any one of these languages? Yeah, kind of. Since we are already kind of not, we are not actually translating any of the languages as such, human languages. We are converting a human language into a machine language. So let's see. So it's asking us to pick any one of those languages in here. So maybe I'll go ahead and select French, but actually we are not doing this. So so this is how we need to do our dataset upload. So it expects a tab separated value. So we want to upload a tab separated value file with your source sentence and your target sentence separated by a tab. So that's what is expected, and they have given us a good example here. So I might have to work on getting that dataset in this format. Let's go ahead and convert this into a tab separated file. So go to file, save as, and in the drop down there will be an option to pick tab delete. Yeah. So I'm gonna save this as tab separated file. Okay. So it's saved. So let me open this in notepad and make sure it's in the expected format. Okay, so this is the entry that we're talking about. So it's got tab here. So this is invisible, but basically it's tab. So way I can identify is that if I just move my arrow keys to the right, keeping at this cursor position, it will jump to the directly to the next sentence. So that means even though we have like multiple spaces in between, it jumps from here to there. So that means there is a tab character which is hidden, but it's there. So what we can do, mention, that's fine. So, so I have a tab delimited file. I want to save it as so the text file I want to save it as the tsv file. So I'm going to put an extension called tsv and then save it. I think we need to get our own storage space in the cloud platform. So it's same with the Watson as well. We wanted to get our own storage space before we can start working. So it says it's giving us an option to create a bucket. Your storage needs to be in sync with your AutoML API location. So that is important. Let me go ahead and create my own storage. General storage. So it needs to be a specific location. So it's US Central 1, I guess. Let's go ahead, click next. 100, that's fine. That's fine. Cool. Go and create it. Have a new bucket with US Central 1 location. Just go click next. Let it upload. This is exciting, so I'm just waiting for something interesting to happen. Okay, so now we got so it says some errors are there, but apart from that, import is done most of the places. So you got testing, training, it's split it, so you're able to see. So this is how they split it. Some of the things for training, some of the things for testing, some for validation. So I'm assuming um, so they got around 3,765 rows for training, 470 for validation, and another 470 for testing. Okay, so that's cool. Let's go ahead and we got a couple of errors. Let's see if we are able to fix this. So it says there are 12 examples failed with error. Now it says invalid UTF-8 so line number. So let's take this error message, put it in our notepad. Let's see if we can solve them. And one important error message that I'm seeing is there are 300 and skipped with warning duplicate examples. So if you see our data, we don't have duplicates as such, but since it's a source language is having multiple rows with the same meaning, it's excluding that. Let's try and reverse this and see if that's solving the problem. So I'll show you what is causing the problem. If you see here, the source language, that's SQL language, has the same queries repeated, but the target language is different. So target statements are different. So, so all these statements are actually looking for the same information. That's why our queries are same. So, but the Google platform con confuses this with us assuming that they are duplicates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this, see if that solves the problem. So make this the source language and that the target language. So this time I've got a lot more sentences. So I got 8,500. So the original data set, if you remember, had around 8,600 rows. So I got almost everything. So split into training, 6,878 sentences for training, 859 for validation, and 859 for testing. So I'm good with this. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step. So we got our sentences. So now it's time to move on to training. Click here, train. Okay, so start training. So it's asking us to pick one. So basically it says it's all that they got only one model, that's Google NMT. So you're fine with this. These are some numbers it's given here. So it says it's 1000 to 10,000 rows. You've got 2 to 3 hours to training. So let's see how long it takes. I am not sure. I wonder if it takes that much time. And for every hour it will charge us $45. So they've given us a credit of $300 credit. So this is gonna run for some time. I'm gonna let it run.